Good morning, Knights. Can you believe it? We have made it to the last day of VBS. This week, we have learned all about how to be strong in the Lord and in the strength of His power. We know how to armor up with truth, with justice, with peace, and with faith. And today, we end our week learning how to armor up with salvation. Before we begin our opening, I want to thank the team who made this virtual VBS happen. You might be thinking at your homes that because we are not all together, it was a pretty easy job. But it's been quite the opposite as we have had to learn to be creative and innovative to make VBS work for all of you at home. I want to thank Margaret Ann Brannon for her vision with the stage set decorations. Shelley Melton for continuing to be my co-chair each year and helping me from beginning to end. John Maddox, our senior pastor, for his unwavering support and offerings to help however possible. Andrew Covington, who, while no longer with us, still stepped in to make this VBS the best it could be, even on his way out. Will Samples, Kyle Coombs, Rhett Samples, Ben Brown, and Madison Smith for being our opening and closing session team. Natalie Davis and Valerie Linderman for crafts, Quimby and Louisa Melton for Bible storytelling, Steve Mulder and Lisa Webb for science, Nick Clark and Haley Kuprion for recreation. I also want to show my deep appreciation to Nick Clark, Andrew Covington, and Steve Mulder for doing all of the filming and editing. Now, let's gear up for our last day of VBS. Thanks for being part of such an amazing week. Have a great day.
Hello, Knights. I'm so happy that you are here at North Castle. Each time we've met, we found a piece of the great armor. We've been looking through the King's Book for clues about where to find each piece of the armor. I can't wait to see what you discover this time. You will be glad to hear that I have taken this time to dust and clean the King's Book. I have it back in my cave. I was going to tell Armorer Ben where it was, but it looks like I'm the only one here. Why don't you all enjoy the royal musicians while I go and look for the armor?
Hello, Knights of North Castle. I'm so glad you're here. It looks like you already heard from the royal musicians. Aren't they fantastic? Well, so far, you've all been very successful on your quest. You have found the belt of truth, breastplate of justice, shoes of peace, and shield of faith. I was going to look through the King's Book to try to learn about our quest. Have you seen it? It should be right here. I should have laid it right here. What's that? Sparky has it? Well, let's go ahead and review our banner verse while we wait for Sparky to return. Do you remember what it was? It was from Ephesians 6:10, and it says, Be strong in the Lord and the strength of his power. Say that with me, Knights. Be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his power. We really need that book. I guess I'll go look for it. I'll go look for Sparky. I'll be right back.
Well, I couldn't find the Armorer anywhere, so I brought the King's Book back with me. Have you all seen Armorer Ben? You have? Just left? Which way? Should I stay here or go look? Okay, maybe I should go and see.
Sparky! Sparky, are you there?
Here I am.
I've been looking for you. Well, here I am. Do you have the King's Book?
Do you have the...
Why don't you speak first?
Well, as I told the knights here, I've been so excited about these quests, and I can't wait for this adventure. I took the King's Book to dust it off and get it ready.
So that's where the book could have went. I thought I'd lost it. Well, I have our 5th riddle that I'd like for you to translate for us. Could you tell us what it says? Here you go.
Let's see. It states, prisoners, earthquakes, and songs of celebration. That's where you'll find the helmet of salvation.
Helmet of salvation. Whoa, this sounds like an exciting quest.
It sure does. Are these stories in the King's Book about prisoners and earthquakes?
There sure are. There are several stories with earthquakes and a lot of stories about prisoners.
What about earthquakes, prisoners, and songs?
Well, that narrows it down a lot. I think a story in Acts may be the right one. Let's look inside the King's Book and see what we can learn about the role players.
In the book of Acts, chapter 16, there is a story about 2 men and a prison escape in Macedonia. Well, it wasn't really an escape, but it was action-packed. It all started when Paul and Silas were trying to find a place to pray. They met a girl with a spirit that gave her the ability to predict the future. Shh. When she saw Paul and Silas, she began to follow them around everywhere, saying, "These are the guys who are telling you the way of salvation." She said this day after day, after day, after day. Even though Paul is known as being a really big, super awesome apostle, he did what most of us would do. He got really annoyed with the girl. Finally, Paul turned around to her and said, "In the name of Jesus, I command you, spirit, to come out of her." And the spirit left her. When people found out that this girl could not predict the future anymore, they got mad at Paul and Silas and had them thrown into prison. A jailer was assigned specifically to guard Paul and Silas. He put them in a special prison cell and put their feet in stocks. He put their feet in stocks, not socks. You know, between 2 pieces of wood so they can't get away. This normally would cause people to be sad, but not Paul and Silas. Around midnight, they were heard praying and singing hymns to God. The other prisoners really liked the performance and thought that Paul and Silas were really rocking the prison. It turns out, however, that it was actually an earthquake. Everything shook so much that all the doors flew open and all the prisoners' chains became loose. The jailer thought he was going to be in big trouble with his boss, but Paul spoke up. "Hey, no worries. We're all here. No one ran away." The jailer was amazed and asked Paul and Silas what he needed to do to be saved. They told him, "Believe in Jesus, and you and your family will be saved." The jailer was so happy. He took Paul and Silas home and gave them a bath and gave them food. Even though it was way past everyone's bedtime, the jailer and his whole family were wide awake. They believed in God and were baptized right away. They found salvation that night. They became followers of Jesus. And this is just one great story from the King's Book.
What did you think about that story, Sparky? Sparky? Sparky?
That was awesome. That story had everything. Did it actually happen?
It sure did. The knights are out here going to learn more about it if they search for the helmet of salvation.
Can I go with them? This quest sounds amazing.
I would like to go too, but we need to stay here at North Castle in case the other knights return. What we can do, though, is get these knights ready for their quest.
What knightly skill do they need to learn this time?
Etiquette.
Eddie, what?
Etiquette. You know, a proper way to act and behave. One important part of etiquette is how to greet someone of importance with a bow. As a knight, you would typically bow by bending at the waist. Many times, knights would also extend their right leg out behind their body as they hold their right arm across their body and bow. This is called bowing and scraping. Everyone, stand up and let's try it.
You all look very knightly. What does our castle call out, Armorer Ben?
It is armor up with salvation. Remember, we put our fists on our shoulders like putting on a safety harness when we say armor up. And we say with salvation. We do this motion. Let's put it all together. Armor up with salvation.
I think they're ready. I wish I could come with you on your quest to find the helmet of salvation. Achoo!
So Armorer Ben and Sparky have really sent us on a big quest for our last day. We're going to find the helmet of salvation. So I hope that you guys have an awesome day on our last day as we do so many fun activities and learn so much. And hopefully at the end of our quest, we're going to come back with that helmet of salvation.